Cold open. Dale Kowalski was 41 years old and had spent the last 19 of those years fixing HVAC units in Ohio. He was elbow deep in a rooftop condenser unit, sweating through his uniform, when the sky above, the strip mall folded open like a paper crane and something the size of a school bus dropped a ramp onto the parking lot. A creature that looked like a mantis wearing a business suit stepped out, scanned the area, and locked eyes on Dale. Human. You are rated for extreme environmental tolerance. We require labor. Compensation is substantial. Risk is non-zero. Dale wiped his hands on a rag. Non-zero how? 91% of applicants do not return. Dale looked at his wrench, then at the condenser unit that had been broken for 3 days, then back at the mantis. Yeah, all right. Beats this. Warning scene. The recruitment office, if you could call a floating obsidian cube parked behind a Waffle House, and officer was staffed by a squat, forearm being named Director Vosk, who had clearly reviewed thousands of human applications and hated every single one. Mr. Kowalski, I must stress, in the strongest possible terms, that this expedition targets a Class 9 hazard planet. Previous non-human teams experienced total loss. We recruit humans specifically because your species exhibits unusual survivability. This does not mean survivability is guaranteed. Dale nodded slowly, signing the form with a pen that hummed faintly with alien ink. Sure. Do you understand the danger? I installed a water heater in a house with active termite damage. I get it. Vosk stared at him for a long moment, 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Very well. Report to Bay 7 and Mr. Kowalski, and don't blame me if you come back in a box. Dale grabbed his tool bag off the floor. Wouldn't be the first time I got shipped back somewhere in pieces. Divorce lawyers are ruthless. Squad introduction. Held 4 other bodies, and Dale was, by every visible metric, the least impressive thing in the room. First was a Threnkali, a being made of interlocking crystalline plates that shifted color with mood, currently pulsing a deep warning red. She was the squad's demolition specialist, decorated 3 times for surviving detonations that vaporized everything within a 2-kilometer radius. Her file listed her as Class A hazardous ordnance handler, survivor of the Corvain reactor collapse. Second was Miosmanour, 7 feet of corded muscle and matte black chitin, whose species had evolved on a planet with triple Earth's gravity. He was a war hero 3 times over, the kind of soldier whose name got whispered in enemy briefings as a warning. His file simply read, terminate on sight if encountered unarmed. Do not engage. Third was HFY, a small, almost delicate-looking being with luminous blue skin and no visible mouth, who communicated via a translator clipped to a throat that didn't seem built for speech. She was the squad's xenobiologist, holder of 11 doctorates, and had personally cataloged 412 species, capable of killing a person in under a second. Her credentials took up 2 full pages. Fourth was Cobraxa, an insectoid engineer whose 4 eyes tracked separately, each one apparently running its own calculations. He'd designed the environmental suits every squad member other than Dale was currently wearing, suits rated to withstand acid rain, 600-degree heat swings, and atmospheric pressure that would crush a submarine. And then there was Dale, 41, slightly overweight, tool bag over one shoulder, wearing a plain jumpsuit with no rating. No armor, no augmentation. Threnkali's plates flickered a confused yellow. This is the human specimen? Confirmed, said Braxa, 4 eyes swiveling toward Dale simultaneously. Baseline biological. No enhancements detected. Osmond said nothing, but his stance shifted slightly. The universal alien body language for I am reevaluating my life choices. Dale set his tool bag down and looked around at the 3 doctorate xenobiologist, the war hero, the demolitions expert who'd survived a reactor meltdown, and the engineer who built suits for a living. So what, I'm just here to carry stuff. Essentially, said HFY, translator crackling slightly on the word. Cool, where's the coffee machine? Comedy escalation loop. The planet's surface temperature fluctuates between negative 60 and positive 140 degrees within a single rotation, Braxa explained, 4 eyes blinking at Dale expectantly, waiting for horror. Dale shrugged. That's a Tuesday in Ohio in March. Braxa's eyes stopped moving entirely. That is not typical planetary behavior. No, it's exactly typical. That's the problem. The local flora releases a spore cloud that dissolves organic tissue on contact, said E.F. Shaw, gesturing at a holographic display of a plant that looked like a bruised lung. So ragweed, Dale said. It is not ragweed. It liquefies skin. My allergies liquefy my sinuses every August. Same energy. E.F. Shaw's mouthless face somehow conveyed deep personal offense. There exists a native predator species, capable of tracking prey through solid rock via vibration, Osmond said, voice a low rumble. It has killed entire mining colonies. Sounds like my neighbor's dog, Dale said. That thing hears a squirrel 3 yards away through a brick wall at 3 a.m. This is a 7-ton apex predator, human. Yeah, well, my neighbor's dog is a chihuahua, and it's worse. The planet experiences electromagnetic storms capable of frying neural tissue through standard shielding, said Threnkali, plates flashing urgent orange. Dale nodded thoughtfully. So basically Ohio in tornado season. Except my basement doesn't have neural shielding either, and I've survived 12 of those. You survive storms that kill your own species regularly? We just call it weather. The whole squad went quiet for a moment. The gravity here fluctuates unpredictably, sometimes tripling without warning, Braxa said, practically pleading with Dale to register alarm. Huh, Dale said. Like a bad elevator, but for the whole planet. An elevator. We got a lot of those. Don't love them either. The air itself is mildly corrosive to unprotected biological tissue, said E.F. Shaw, voice tight. Dale considered this. I once worked a chicken processing plant for 2 summers. I think I'll manage. Nobody on the squad had a response to that. At arrival and world reveal. The ship's ramp lowered onto a planet that looked like hell had been left out in the sun too long. The sky was a bruised orange-green, streaked with lightning that crawled sideways instead of down. The ground crunched underfoot like it was made of dried salt and old bone. Wind screamed across a horizon of jagged black rock formations, each one taller than a skyscraper, humming faintly with some kind of electrical charge. Within seconds, Threnkali's crystal plates were vibrating audibly, her suit's cooling system whining under the strain of the heat. Osmond's massive frame staggered as the gravity spiked, dropping him briefly to one knee, servos in his exosuit shrieking. Brax's suit displayed 6 separate warning icons, and E.F. Shaw's translator was crackling, with static from the electromagnetic interference, cutting her words into fragments. Atmospheric corrosion rate exceeding projected. Dale stepped off the ramp in his plain jumpsuit, no suit, no helmet, and stood there for a second, squinting at the horizon. Huh, reminds me of Cleveland in August. The squad, mid-struggle against gear that was actively failing around them, all turned to stare. You are not reacting, Osmond grunted, forcing himself back upright. To what? The planet. Dale scratched his neck. It's hot. It's windy. I've had worse commutes. Brax's suit beeped an error. He ignored it, staring instead at Dale's bare forearms, exposed to air that was, according to every instrument on his suit, actively eating through reinforced polymer. Your skin should be blistering. Dale looked down at his arm. Should it? Nobody answered. Episodic danger montage. The storm field. The squad geared up in full storm protocol. Grounding rods, insulated suits, neural dampeners, a rehearsed evacuation drill for the sideways lightning. Threnkali coordinated the group into a tight formation, everyone moving in careful. Synchronized steps to avoid the worst of the electrical surges. Dale walked through the middle of it holding a metal toolbox over his head, like an umbrella whistling. You are holding a conductive object. In an electrical storm, E.F. Shaw said, translator practically screeching. Yeah, keeps the rain off, Dale said. Wait, is this stuff going to short out my multimeter? It did not. Nothing about Dale shorted out. The lightning arced around him twice like it had changed its mind. The vibration predator. The 7-ton rock tunneling predator surfaced beneath their camp at 300 hours. Full combat protocol. Osmond on point with a plasma cannon. Threnkali rigging explosive countermeasures. Everyone moving in total silence to avoid vibration triggers. Dale, unable to sleep, stepped outside to walk it off and habit from decades of insomnia, and found the creature rearing up in front of him, jaws the size of a garage door. He stared at it. It stared at him. You're a big dog, huh? Dale said, and smacked it once on the snout with his rolled-up newspaper, the same one he'd brought to read on the ship. because nobody trusts a tablet in a storm. The creature let out a confused whine and burrowed back underground. Husband cannon raised, hadn't fired a single shot. Innes retreated. Yeah, dogs hate that. My old man used to do it to Rex, establishes who's boss. Log entry, B. Braxa. Engineer. Human physically. Corrected a Class 7. Apex predator with a rolled paper product. Predator retreated without engaging. I do not have a category for this in any database. The corrosive rain. An acid storm rolled in, thick and black. Capable of eating through hull plating in under a minute. Full evac protocol, sealed shelters, chemical suits, a mad dash to cover. Dale, halfway across camp when the storm hit, simply pulled his jacket over his head and kept walking at a normal pace. Human, the rain is corrosive, Threnkali shouted from inside the shelter. So's my ex-wife's opinion of me, Dale called back, and I survived that. He arrived at the shelter with damp hair and a slightly stained jacket. Nothing else. The gravity well. A sudden gravity spike tripled weight across. The camp without warning, the same. Phenomenon that had dropped. Osmond to his knees on day one, except now amplified, threatening to collapse the shelter under its own increased mass. The squad scrambled with emergency counterweights and structural braces, servo-straining. Dale, who had been carrying a crate of supplies at the time, just widened his stance and grunted, through it like a man moving a couch up 3 flights of stairs. You are supporting 3 times your body weight. Without equipment, Braxa said, voice climbing towards something like panic. I moved my mother-in-law's piano last Thanksgiving. This is easier. Log entry, B. Braxa. Engineer. I have begun to suspect the human species is not adapted for danger. I suspect they are adapted for inconvenience, and that this planet to them register as inconvenience. I do not know what to do with this informational. By day 12, something had shifted. Nobody had assigned it, nobody had voted on it, but when the squad hit unfamiliar terrain now, Osmond waited half a step behind Dale before moving. When Threnkali planned a route, she ran it past Dale first, not because he understood explosives, but because he understood danger, apparently. On some frequency none of them had access to. HFY running scans on Dale for the 9th time and finding nothing biologically remarkable, finally put it into words. You are not resistant to harm, human. Your instruments confirm this. You simply do not register these things as harm the way we do. Dale shrugged, tightening a bolt on his toolbox. Some of us just had a rougher Tuesday than others. Osmond, for the first time since the mission began, said something that wasn't a warning. Understood. They found the structure on day 14, buried half a mile into the black rock, radiating a low hum that made Braxa's instruments spike into the red before promptly dying altogether. Threnkali's plates went a color none of them had seen her produce before. Even Osmond took a step back. That is not native technology, HFY said quietly, translator stuttering on the words. That signature does not match anything in our records. Anything in existence. Dale walked up to the edge of the structure, tilted his head, and knocked on it twice with his knuckles, the way he'd knock on a wall to find a stud. Something inside answered back. Once. Slow. Deliberate. The whole squad froze. Dale straightened up, wiping his hand on his jumpsuit. Huh, he said. That's new.